Hey guys, this is TGStudios in Roblox Studio. I thought I'd do a little tutorial on how to use constraints. Basically these things. I'll create one very quickly. Let's do a prismatic. So if I create this very quickly, I'll show you what these can do. And I've also got a little bit of music in the background. I don't know if you guys can actually hear it. It's just something that I can't do while programming or making something. I have to have something in the background. So yeah, I'm just setting a few settings. I'm going to talk through exactly what I'm doing here once we get it working. Let's do that. Right. Put it to something massive and speed 10. Right, let's play. So they're snapped together. Right. So prismatic, or should I say constraints in Roblox. This, what I'm using now, is a prismatic constraint. You can make it visible if you want to. Let's actually open that up a bit. There you go. I don't know why it doesn't go all the way through, but whatever. So what you need for any kind of constraint in Roblox is an attachment inside the two parts that you want to control. So in other words, in part 1, which is that one there, you got a attachment point. All you do, as you just saw, if I create another one here, this goes for any kind of constraint. Let's actually do a rotation or a socket joint, if you like. Yeah, let's do that one. So what you do is click the first where you want the hinge to pivot from, and then you go to the other side where you want to create the hinge or the joint, if you like. And because we're playing at the same time, they're snapped together. To change the to make it sort of rotate on its own, I'm not 100% sure if we can do it with full constraint, because I haven't really played around with it too much. No, you can't. You can only do the limits, which is how far it can actually rotate round. You can also, if you wanted to, you can offset the pivot point on the part. Oh, mouse! I wish you wouldn't do that. So yeah, as I say, the access point is, I'll actually go in. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Fingers, stop duplicating things, will you? So yeah, if I actually highlight one, hopefully that is the one. Where is that? That's on the other one. So at the moment the pivot point is at where those attachment points are. So if I wanted to, I could actually move that, let's say 3, and move it apart. There you go. So let's actually pick that up and watch it flop down at that pivot point. Like so. Let's change this surface. Studs. Let's put on the bottom of this. Inset. Like so. There you go. Yeah, because we're playing it at the same time. I've actually updated that. Cool. Because beforehand, when you moved it around like that, it used to just stay in its place. Now it actually updates, which is cool. I'm learning as well. Brilliant. It must be a very good tutorial. So that's a ball constraint. You can also do a hinge constraint exactly the same way, and you can also control it with a script if you want to. I'll get into that a little bit later. So we got a hinge, which is basically the same thing. Sometimes if you got an attachment point inside a part without the hinge, you can still use this tool, like, because we've got no part in there. Hold on, if I cancel that. So in here we've only got an attachment, and in this one we've only got an attachment. If you got two attachments in two different parts, I don't know if it will work with two attachments in the same part. We can try that out in a bit. But it also find those attachments. You can just click on the attachments when you create the joint, like, because we already clicked on that one, and then click. There you go. So that's now joined with those two attachments existing. So, because the tool, every time when you create a joint or constraint, the tool looks for any part that you selected. If it's an attachment, it will use that attachment as the joint. The only things I'm not 100% sure on is these ones here, and that's a new one. Wow, cool. So these, oh, cylindrical, cool. Let's do a rope one. Let's get rid of that. Let's actually show you the bits and pieces of the hinge first before I get into, I'm getting ahead of myself. Right, so basically that is the colour of the hinge if you want to show it. It won't really matter here, but there we are. That's actually the hinge there, that yellow thing. I think you can actually change that, maybe not. Okay, so I guess it doesn't work on hinges and things, but on like prismatic constraints and rope and things, you can actually change the colour of the rope and springs. So that doesn't apply to, I guess, hinges and ball sockets. I'm not 100% sure what cylindrical does. I haven't actually tried them all yet, but I know the concept behind them, sort of thing. That's why I'm doing this tutorial. Also, I've been asked quite a few times as well to do a tutorial, so yeah. So as it stands at the moment, it can rotate as far as it wants to go round. Like, it can go 360 degrees round this way. If we want to limit how far it rotates round, we can click that. The lower angle, it can go down to 45 degrees, it's in degrees. Negative 45, which is somewhere down here. And an upper angle of about there. So if I actually show you, oh, cool. There we go. So that's the angle. That's how far it can rotate. Brilliant. Roblox, I love you. Makes this tutorial a bit easier. Yeah, so if I play that, these should snap together. And if I pick this up, nothing of course happens at the moment, but if I move the attachment point to, I don't know, 2, and then pick up that part. Okay, so don't update the physics. It should rotate down. Oh, wait a minute. I'm picking up the wrong bit. There we go. Because the weight is in the middle. Like so. So yeah, that's a hinge. If you want to rotate the part like a normal motor, like a surface motor, like where is it? This thing. You can also use the hinge as a motor, and you got a lot more control on it rather than going through the parts, properties and things. I actually prefer the constraints because on motors they actually, if they get too heavy, like you've got two massive parts, it tends to not work, kind of thing. And even if you put the forces of the motor up, it tends to break and sort of spaz out of it. On the constraints, if it's too heavy, they just stop. And that's it. It's a lot nicer way of actually doing things. So, as I was saying, if you want to control it with a motor or a servo, I'll get onto the servo in a little bit. The motor is basically like, think of a plane's propeller. It's always rotating at a certain speed. That's basically what that is. So we got at the moment limits enabled, so it only go to 45 degrees no matter what. If we disabled that, it would continue going round. Like, let's put our angular velocity up somewhere. No, let's not do that. That's the wrong thing. I'm thinking about something else there. Let's do 10 and put the torque up high so we can actually see it rotating. The velocity is how fast it rotates, and the mouse, I wish we wouldn't do that. Get rid of that. And the torque is how far hard it wants to rotate that far. Mouse, behave yourself, will ya? Right, let's just put that to 1,000, I think. You watch this ping off the base plate. What it shouldn't do. Let's have a look. It doesn't move. Right. So we might have to adjust the parameters a bit. Let's put that to 100 until we start moving. There you go. It's just pinged off the base plate. Lovely. So that's basically, if I can actually get that working properly, I can show you rotating. Let's actually do this. Yeah, I'm really doing this this tutorial. It's just I just remembered that I said it in a comment to one of my videos a while back, and I've just remembered that I need to do it. So it's on the fly. Oh well. Alright, where's my anchor? There we go. Right, another part. Let's actually make something a little bit, I don't know. Let's do this very, very quickly. I'm going to make something that you might recognise. Something that I just said just now. Just show you what we can do. Add a world. And then hopefully in the second part of this tutorial, I don't know how long this this tutorial is going to be. I might do a two-parter, I don't know. It might be on the same video, it depends on how far I go and how far I get, sort of thing. Right, let's move that down. Move that over. Move that over. And create that. I do miss the old studio look, where you had the instead of the rhythm bar, which is what this is, we had the system where we had all the bits and pieces all shown all at once. I do miss that old way of for the studio. Right, and move that up. Let's say 3. That should do. Very, very basic. Let's put that there. And I'm going to do that. I should have made this earlier, but whatever. Go me. For making things on the fly. Let's actually remove that one. Duplicate. Rotate round. And that's on there. Right, let's move this up so it didn't hit the base plate. And this is another little feature. The reason why I'm building this is when you make the constraint or the joint, anything else attached to that part where the attachment is also gets moved to the I guess the bit that isn't that's anchored, or with the most mass if you like. So if I do this, let's actually yes, another thing, when you're placing your attachment points, it also takes into account of your move tool, move step tool if you like. So if you put it to nothing, you can place it on any of those and it doesn't snap to anything. So I like to keep it at 1 most of the time, unless I'm doing very, very tiny little work here and there. So like so. At the moment that won't do anything, and I think I anchored that. I did. So let's play it. There you go. You see that? It got teleported to where the hinge should be. So let's get this in motion. So what we do, since we want a propeller to go round, let's choose motor, angular velocity of, let's say 250, motor max torque, let's say 100, wrong way round. Nope. Let's actually put a few more zeros on that. There you go. And there we go, it's continue speeding up until it gets to the angular velocity, or very, very close to it. So there we go, got I can't say it, propeller in Roblox. Blimey, my stammer. No! Propeller. Blimey, I don't usually stammer, but whatever. Yeah, so that's a hinge constraint if you like. To do a motor, when you want to, like a leg or something, I've actually got a little example for a servo. If I load it up, it's kind of a work in progress what I'm hoping to do with my robotics things. Where are we? Robot legs. This is using the servos, or will do. And this is another little bug. I don't know if they fixed it yet, but these legs that I've made in Roblox, they sort of glitch out when I load. So all these parts are attached with constraints and things, hinge constraints of all things, where they can rotate like a normal leg. So I got as far as attaching the points, but I don't know if it will show it now, but when I sort of hit play, I was expecting it just to fall down. Let's have a look at what it does. Yes, there's that bug. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Oh well, it's dancing. So what I'm hoping to do eventually is work out how to stop that from happening. I think it's because there's too many joints on one leg. But I don't know why the other leg's not doing anything. So if I actually get rid of the other leg that's causing the thing to freak out, let's actually do that and see what that does. So it might have been just touching the base plate or something, because now it's not doing it. Right, so let's make this move. So I've got all my hinge constraints inside a folder for each of the different segments. Like, let's actually change these all to servo. Yeah, I didn't get as far as changing it over to servo. Right. So I think I'm missing one there. That might be the reason why it's you behave, will ya? Okay, it's freaking out. It doesn't like me. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue anyway. Where is that? That's on the left, so let's do the right. So, what we do for a... I'm going to ignore that. I know, I'm tense as well. You don't have to freak out, you know. Yeah. So the angular speed is how fast you want to move the thing. The torque is also the same thing as the normal motor. It's how hard you want to move it. Let's say 500. And the target angle is the angle that you want to get to. Let's say 20. And is that actually moving, or is it stuck in the base plate? So, is that not going to move, or is that just clipped through itself again? Let's try a different one. Where are we? Yeah, this is very early on in its life, if you like. Very, very hard to show it on the camera at the same time. It may not work, but let's see if I can get it working. Oh, I know what's going on there. It's because I got two... Oh, there we go. It's just moved back. Let's go back to that other example. That's too glitchy. Hopefully you'll see this in a later video when I make it better, if you like, and stop that that freaking out. Right, I'm not going to save that. Right, let's go back to this. And let's change this hinge over to the servo. So let's do that. Do the same as before. With the, if you're not sure about those two values, just increase it by a factor of, I guess, 100 until it actually starts moving. If it's too much, reduce it by a factor of 10 if you like. So let's move that to 30, and that should rotate to somewhere around there, or it might be that way. My voice. There you go. So that's the servo. It just moves it to a point and then stops. Very good for legs, if you like. If you want it to go further than 45, you can just change these to, let's say, 180. And then lower angle of 45. So if you set a target angle of anything above, let's say, the upper angle, it will go to that angle and then to the upper angle and then stop. If it goes below the lower angle, it will only go to that angle and then stop, regardless of what you put down at the target angle. Like if I put 1000 there, we're going to hit the base plate, or are we? Nope, we go. So that's just gone to 45 degrees, if you like. So let's do negative 1000. They go to 180. Oh, okay. There we go. It's just got to it. 190. Let's try that then. Prove me wrong, will you? So that's 190, is it? 75 might be the angle that I'm doing. Oh, okay. So it looks like it's going above the max angle and then coming back down again. I think that might even be a bug. Okay, whatever. At the moment, I'm not 100% sure what this restitution is. It might be how, I don't know, maybe the step of how far it moves. I don't know. or the accuracy maybe. I haven't actually played with that, so I don't know. I would say play it with that at your leisure. So that's the hinge and ball constraint. The ball constraint is basically, think of your shoulder, and then you can move it at any angle basically. The hinge constraint is like your elbow, if you like, which can only move a certain angle, but with the hinge you can actually rotate it 360 and beyond, if you like. Right, so let's move on to another one, the Prismatic Constraint, which is what I used in my my engine. Let's actually load that up. Where are we? Basic engine. Yeah, most of these are unfinished, that you see here. A petrol engine, there we go. Yeah, so this engine is actually using prismatic constraints, and I'm controlling it by a script. You would make the constraints exactly like a hinge, like you put the first point to attachment onto a part, and then you do the second part, and then the prismatic constraint would be created between the two. Right, let's see if I can find some bits. It's in. Right. So I think it's there somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so we've got an attachment point there, and I think we've got another attachment point down here. Yeah, that's the hinge constraint for that bit, I think, or that bit. So, where's my... there they are. And which one is that? So that's the one inside there. There we go. So if I actually run this, I'll go back into that so you can actually see it operating. I might have to close that, put the sound down. I don't know how well that's coming through. Right. So here we go. This is my script actually controlling this. I forgot about setting it to nothing and then putting it back again. So yeah. Right, and it's a sort of thing that you can make with the prismatic constraint and a lot of hinges. Beforehand, when I tried to make this with surface hinges and surface mount motors, it would lag, it would sort of spaz out. That's why I like the constraint system better. It works marginally better, as you can see. Let's start that again. And of course, by the end of this video, I will be doing a scripting, how to script for the parts sort of thing, and how to do it. I don't know if I'll be able to do all of these here, because they're basically all the same. I'll just do the interesting ones, sort of thing. And maybe in a future video I'll go over what these are, once I've taught myself how they work. Oh, and of course, if you want to, you can also put just the attachments in a part just by using that. That is useful for, I think, this beam and maybe trail. So it's not just for the constraints, it can also be for some effects. I might cover that in a later video, assuming I got that right, because I think I saw in a few few examples that it had an attachment parts, if you like. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick look. Insert a trail. Yes, there we go. Attachment 0, attachment 1. That's exactly the same thing as the constraints are using. So if you wanted to, you can add an attachment point here, another one out here. Let's actually do that. And it created a trail if you like. And duplicate. Let's move that second attachment. Let's rename it. You don't have to rename it, but it's good practice so you know what's what. So let's move this. Let's move it 10 studs that way. And let's move these. This is how you would normally do it manually if you like. Since Roblox has actually added that, you can actually just click on the empty space and then go up to your attachment point and it fill it in. And the same for the second. So let's see if I can get a trail working. There you go. So the attachment points is a major breakthrough for, I guess, Roblox. There you go. Rotating around the other way. Yeah, if I get enough likes, or should I say enough comments on how to do things like other effects, just let me know and I'll do another little tutorial. Look at that. A sine wave. Anyway, back to constraints, I think. Right, so let's close that down. I'm sort of briefly going through it and showing you what you can do with it. So let's show you a prismatic constraint without all that jazz that I had. Let's have one brick lift up another one, I think. So let's move that up. It doesn't have to be on the same axis if you don't want it to. It depends on how you're building your models. So let's do prismatic, that's what we're doing. And of course the first block that you click will be where the prismatic constraint will go into. So if you click, let's just say this bottom one first and then the top, the prismatic constraint gets created in the first block, this block down here, rather than up here. So let's see what it does at the moment. Right, so it's snapped together as before. Move it up. Right, let's anchor that one. And rotate. So yeah, you see that? It's on a rail. At the moment I've got limits so it can go at a far sort of a distance away, or to infinity and beyond, as I said in my other video. So if I click that, so it can only go up to upper limit of 5 studs. So here we go. There we go. It's kind of like a piston without the steam, if you like, or oil, if you like. Depends on what century you're on. So yeah, that's the prismatic constraint. Let's show you it motorized. All you got to do, you don't have to have the limits enabled for the motor. You can go to any length if you want to. The only thing that you should worry about or set is either set this to a motor or a servo. If you want it to go back and forth, it's best to set a servo, so you can set the length. So what is actually motor? I've never really played with the motor. I guess it just continues going. So let's do 1000 and velocity of 100. Okay. So what is that doing? Oh dear, I think I broke it. Alright, let's go back. I guess the motor does not quite work with prismatic constraints. I hope I'm saying that right. Prismatic constraint. So let's go to the servo. This is what I do know that does actually work. So we put the servo max force to something huge, so you can actually see it moving. Speed of, I guess, 10, that should be good enough. And what is the limit on this one? That's 5, let's put that to 25. And a limit of 0. Yeah, that's good enough. So target position 5. So that should move to 5 studs above, hopefully, if I set it right. Oh, I set the wrong thing. There we go. So that's going to go up to 25 studs, no matter what the orientation is of the first brick, or the other brick if you like. It will try and keep to that orientation. Of course, if you want to speed it up a bit, you could almost make a spring out of that, if you like. Let's have a look what happens when I do that. Yeah, so that's the prismatic constraint. It's just a piston, and if you want to create a hinge point where the piston is, like that engine, I would put a couple of hinges on each side of the part and then attach it to something solid. There you go, you got a piston, one part of a piston engine, if you like what I showed you just now. So that's the prismatic ball and hinge. Let's have a look at what this cylindrical. I've got an idea what that might be. Let's see if I've got an idea what that might be. I've never really played with this one. I've got a feeling that it's something that you can actually rotate around the part and it stay on that axis, I guess. That's my concept, idea of what it is. Right, let's move this up and see what it does. If I anchor that one, no, that's good. It may just snap together at the moment. Yeah, as I thought. So, how do we use this one? I might be using it completely wrong. Okay. Let's put that to that. Target angle. Oh. Okay. Oh. So that's very much like a 3D motor. Basically what your humanoid, every humanoid uses. Like, so if I understand that correctly, you can animate shoulders and things with that. And you can keep the angle kind of like a ball constraint, but with motors. We can move in 360 degrees in a ball motion. That's kind of cool. I'll play that a bit later, I think, because I don't hardly know what that is. Up to now is the only time that I've actually really played with it, so it's new ground for me. Right, so let's get rid of these. Let's move on to the next one. So let's move on to a rope. Like so. And this one's really easy. You just set the length that you want it to go to. And I guess that, I still don't know what that is. I'll have to read the wiki from cover to cover, I think. Work that out. But I'll show you the rope. Let's actually set it to visible. It is. Play. There you go. And that's a rope. So if you want to create your rope bridges, you can do with the rope constraint. The only thing I might add is if you want to keep things from swinging around like that, I would do something like, let's move that over. If you don't want to move it here, you can actually use the move tool to actually move the attachment points, like so. Let's add another one. Right, so it's exactly the same as the other one, because I haven't changed any of the settings. There you go. A making of a rope bridge, if you like. So that's an easy way of actually making an example like the one I've done without these constraints. That was hard. I used glue joints and things to animate this sort of thing. That was really hard. Now all you do is just click a few buttons and there you are. So that's the rope. I don't think you can move that. It'd be weird if you could. The rod constraint is like the prismatic constraint without a motor. I'll show you. Like if I get rid of these, rope, rod even. What did I say? Rope. And I can't remember if this actually sets its angle from when you create it. I don't think it does. I think it's just like a normal prismatic constraint. I wish it would change that name from prismatic to piston. Oh, okay. So a rod keeps the parts at that certain distance, but it doesn't stop it from rotating. That's kind of cool. So can we change the length of that rod? Yes, we can. Yep. Cool. So if you wanted to, you can actually make that into a piston. Ooh. That might just do for my engine. Rather than having 2 points, I can just have those and then just change the length with the script. Ideas for thought. Or food for thought, as I say. If I can do something like that. Kind of thing. Now there's an idea. Cool. So next I'm going to move it onto spring. I'm not 100% sure what this weld is. I think it's just a normal weld with the attachment points. So the spring is as follows. Let's actually move that above the other one. Play. There you go. So anything that falls on top of this thing is going to sort of spring it up. see if I can actually make this hit it. Oh dear, I broke my spring. Yeah, so it doesn't actually attach itself, stop the rotation, it just keeps that brick away from the other brick that you set. So yeah, I'll show you an example of what you can actually do with that and prismatic constraints. I've sort of made a little model in my toolbox, my models, of an actual suspension system, if you like. There we go. So this suspension system has got a spring, is what we got here. We've also got a prismatic constraint in there as well to keep it stable, so it only goes up and down, it doesn't rotate. Well, let's attach something heavy on one side. Let's do that. Make that something big, then anchor the other side. If I can get there, like so. So let's anchor that and then play. There you go. So it's actually lifted that block up even. Let's make that a bit bigger. Something like that. And that's too heavy. Right, so let's do that and create a few extra bricks so we can drop it on there. Right, so yeah, I missed it. Fail for me. There you go. You see that? There you go. So that's what you can do with the spring, if you like. The way I sort of attach those parts is I'm using the same attachment point for both the spring constraint and the prismatic, I think. Did I really? Or did I duplicate? No, I did. There we go. That's the other one. Getting confused. So yeah, you can use different joints for the same attachment points, but be careful what you use, because one might cancel out the other. So let's see what this weld constraint is. I've got an idea what it might be. It might be a case of just welding two things together at that point, kind of like a normal weld script. So what would that do? Now let's unanchor both of those and see what it does. Yes, so it's just a basic weld, if you like. That is actually quite cool. Can we do anything else with it? Nope. So it's a more user-friendly way of actually welding things together, where in scripting you would have to create a weld, not this weld constraint but a normal weld. So yeah, and then sort of work out where the parts are,